We begin tonight with the latest developments on yesterday's raging condo fire in Warwick.
Tonight, investigations are underway into both the cause of the fire and water pressure issues that hampered firefighters at the scene. And
more than 3 dozen condos were destroyed when flames devoured a 3-story building at the Westgate Condominiums in Warwick on the Warwick East Greenwich line Wednesday. Today, crews demolished what was left of the burnt-down building. Now, about 100 people are being forced to start over from scratch after losing their homes and belongings. Eyewitness News reporter Jared Pliner joins us now live from the scene with the West Bay Mobile Newsroom.
Mike Shannon, good evening. I want to begin with the focal point, and it, of course, is not me. Let's push in here. A perimeter fence has been added within the last few hours. The Red Cross says it is helping 17 families out of the roughly 100 people displaced with food and clothing. They obviously have nothing. Today, an update on where the investigation stands. Warwick Mayor Scott Avedizian and Fire Chief Edmund Armstrong paused to take in the burned out and now demoed building at the Westgate Condominiums Thursday. At one point, Avedizian referred to the structure behind him before realizing there wasn't one. The million-dollar question, what exactly happened?
There have been lots of rumors thus far. We're not going to speculate on any of that until we have a final report from the state fire marshal.
Now, former residents expressed concern that an excavator was at work before a ruling on cause.
Some of the areas of the actual building were compromised, and the fear was collapse. I believe that the investigators took all of the information that they felt they needed before the demo started.
The mayor says building inspection records have to be examined. Another topic of intrigue, the lack of water pressure. Fire officials confirm hindered their efforts Wednesday.
Kent County Water Authority's job is to bring the water to the site. It is a private development, so the question will be whether or not the inspections of the hydrant showed that they were fine.
Avedizian ended with a cryptic answer to a question on whether nearby residents should be concerned.
I think you had a number of factors here that, when the investigation is done, will show that there were certain things happening in that building that caused the fire in a way in which you wouldn't necessarily have to worry unless those conditions were present again.
And we're before 19 easily. Of course, newer construction would feature fire walls, fire stops. And coming up at 6, a closer look at the water investigation. Live in Warwick at this hour with the West Bay Mobile Newsroom, I'm Jared Pliner, Eyewitness News.
First at 6 tonight, we're back at the site of the devastating Warwick condo fire. One day after the massive fire, the burned-out building is reduced to rubble. And demolition crews on the scene today, tearing down the structure that once housed dozens of families. Investigators pulling what they needed from the building before it came crumbling to the ground. And in that debris, some important and personal items for a local musician discovered intact. We have Eyewitness News in-depth coverage new at 6 tonight. Steve Nielsen is standing by with more on what the musician found after he felt compelled to return to the scene. But first, at 6 tonight, Jared Pliner is live in Warwick with more on how water pressure issues hampered the efforts of firefighters.
Yeah, Mike Shannon, good evening. That is correct. That's going to be one of the central parts of this investigation, water access problems. And, you know, the victims we checked back in with today remain haunted by that. Former residents returned to this demoed mess at Warwick's Westgate Condominiums Thursday. Their homes here yesterday, today, a debris pile. Life changed. Some found belongings, others couldn't get to theirs, like Rhonda Wright, inconsolable yesterday as everything burned.
I have 2 grandchildren. I had things in there that I loved, but at least I have myself and I have them.
This bubbling main, not a comfort.
When I look at that water coming out today, I'm angry.
Fire officials confirming the lack of it hurt. That's part of the investigation.
The water pressure, I believe it hindered us quite a bit, but this fire was roaring when the firefighters arrived.
There were firemen on the ground with their hoses, with no water, running all around the complex, running to Route 2, looking for water.
Rhonda now with no choice but to move on.
I'll just start from new, and maybe that's what God wants us to do, just start all over again.
And again, we are told that the Red Cross is assisting 17 families with food and clothing. We're actually told the shelter is no longer necessary as all of the families have found temporary housing for the time being. Live in Warwick at this hour at the West Bay Mobile Newsroom, I'm Jared Pletter, Eyewitness News.